All right, I have also started now. Great. So, yeah. All right. So, we have, I think, discussed what is the sequential steps, what is the conditional steps in case of Python. As far as I remember, we were discussing Python and we had discussed what does it mean by repeated steps. Okay. So, in very simple words, if you, these are the general uh, steps, as in first execute this one, then this one, then this one, then this one. Okay, and here there's an assignment happening. All right, next is you can put the conditions in the following way. Okay, the most important part to remember when we are talking about Python is that it is very sensitive to this space. Okay, it has to be generally a single tab or four spaces. So whatever kind of indentation you use in the first line, the same indentation you have to use throughout the program. Okay? So if you are using two spaces here or a single tab here, you have to use the single tab or two spaces here. All right? So this is the way how Python recognizes the blocks of code, as in here the blocks of code means everything which has a tab marks that it will be executed, while if x is lesser than 10. Okay, everything here. So for example, if you want to put something like here, let me take out. All right, so all right, are you able to see the console? Is everybody able to log in into the CloudX Lab? I hope you don't have any issues now. I hope you don't have issues now. All right. Now let me just open the console. All right. So here is the console, and from here you can go to Python and start working. Okay. All right. So you can put the conditions the way we had discussed last time as well. Okay. You just keep in mind that indentation means that everything is under this is a part of a single block. Okay, same indentation means same block. All right. Okay, so any questions on this? I'll quickly skim through. If you don't have any questions, I'll move forward. Okay. Yes, you can try an example in the meanwhile. I think that will be better. So everybody wants to try an example so that we all are in the comfort zone with Python. Okay. So I would say that you try this particular one first. Okay, the one you see here, all of you. I think that is probably the best way to learn programming, because for some reason, we are a little afraid to try a new programming language, because we are generally worried that we might break something. So the best way would be that you try, and in case you get stuck, I will I will make you the presenter, and we will quickly resolve it. Okay? So, all right. This is the only exercise where, okay, this is the only exercise which will make you the most confident in a new programming language. Okay? You type this code, and in case you get stuck, just let me know. I will make you the presenter so that I can see your screen and we can discuss. All right, everybody ready? Because we are just 5 people in the session, so we can afford to do this. Other than me, there are only 4 people, so we can afford to do this. And probably this is the best exercise we can do. So let's try with this example. And also note that it's not mandatory to put semicolon at the end of the statement. It is just optional. How Shekhar, Valentin, and Arpan, are you able to try it out? Valentin? All right. All right. So, Valentin, sorry, Shekhar, here his problem is this one. I'm pasting his problem. Can somebody quickly tell what will be the problem? Problem is that you are leaving a space here. You should not be leaving a space here. Okay? You should be doing like this. Otherwise, it will try to think that you are confusing with this block. Yes, are you able to fix it, Shekhar? Or can I'm just making you the presenter, and to everyone, I'm just copy pasting this and sending to all. All right. Seeker, is it okay to make you the presenter so that I can see what's going on? Okay. All right. I'll just mute you because there is a lot of background noise. All right. Yeah. Now write if x greater than 20, colon, enter. Okay, I got the problem. After the print is smaller, you have to press one more enter. If x less than 10, enter. tab, print. Okay, now enter. Okay, you can press enter again. Yes, this is correct. Now you can say if x greater than 20. Now, yeah. So you have to press enter twice. Also, what you can do is open the notepad. Open the notepad, please. Yeah. Here, you try to write the code. Yeah, yeah. That's all right. Yeah, here you can write. Yeah, you can try this. So in Python, you don't have a if, else if. You call it elif, ELIF. Okay, it's a single word. All right. You instead of saying yeah, good. Show me again. Yeah. Not like this. Not like this. Okay. So this is saved where? What is the content here? Can you save it somewhere else? Here in the beginning, assign something to X before if statement. Good. Now save this file somewhere. Okay. Now can you exit the Python shell? And everybody, if you're trying to install Python, use the 2.7 version. Control D. All right. Now, what you can, oh, you are inside the console. Oh, oh. What you can do is do one thing. I'll tell you what. cat, cat. You do cat, double arrow, or just remove everything. I'll tell you better things. Remove everything. Type nano, nano. Now file name x.py, x.py. Nano space x.py, enter. Now here you can copy paste your code. Control X, Y, Y, enter. Now you can say Python x.py. Yes, Python x.py. Okay. It says that else is not invalid. X is an invalid syntax. Now you can do uh yeah. It's not that. So you have, yes, yes, you are right. Colon is missing. You are right. Colon is missing. So you can say nano x.py. Perfect. Perfect. Yes. There. Control colon and then control X. Control X, Y. Good, good. All right. Now it says okay. Good. All right. Is anybody else stuck? Now I will make myself organizer and make myself presenter. All right. Hey Rahul and Srijesh. All right. So Rahul and Srijesh, what we are trying to do right now is we are trying to try some Hello World kind of a very simple code. Hello World doesn't do the justice because it doesn't have a block. Blocks are somewhere everybody faces the problem. Sorry, I'll just send it to all. Okay. So Rahul and Shijesh and Valentin and How and Arpan and Sekhar, are you able to try out examples? Oh, is it so? A quick question to everybody. The email that I've sent you, would it have the wrong webinar URL by any chance? Because Rahul is saying that the email which sent by us had a different URL. So probably Rahul, what has happened is that yeah, previous sessions URL no longer works. Okay, so we sent a new URL and also updated here. I doubt if it got updated for you as well. 218 here. Maybe the cache was not. Oh, yes, that was, I think, the older link. I think that was an older link. Yes. All right. Sincere apologies for that. Okay. And yeah, we'll be more careful about that. All right. Okay. Uh, so let me just try to clear the cache so that everybody sees the latest page. All right. So, Rahul and everybody, are you able to try out the Hello World kind of example, which has at least one if condition, while condition, or something like that? Okay. So, everybody, please try out if you have not tried. This is the best chance we have got. All right. Because why I'm doing it now is in case you get stuck, we can resolve the problem together. Because there are other people as well who have successfully tried and executed their first program in Python. It's only the beginning which will be difficult, and that's what I'm trying to resolve. Okay. So those who are not aware, you can use Nano editor here. I've installed Nano on the web console, so you can try that. All right. Who is it? Let's. So Valentine is done. Arpan is done, I think, and I think Rahul is trying. Good, good. So everybody is able to. Just raise your hand in case you are still trying. Okay, I think everybody is done now. So no hands, which means everybody is able to execute their Hello World exam. All right, brilliant, brilliant. Great. So everybody is in the shape. In case you are getting stuck, just let me know. So that because this is the beginning, in case you get stuck at this point, it'll be difficult to. Uh, I mean, you will get into the delaying mode. Okay. All right. So keep me updated. Great. Shekhar is also done. Brilliant. All right, so that was probably the simplest program. Hello World doesn't do justice to Hello World, so we've used a simple kind of a block because most of us make mistake in this. All right, good, good. Now, all right, so this is clear to everyone. Basically, this program keeps running until till this condition is true, meaning till n is greater than 0, it will keep running. Okay, so it will print, first it will print 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, and then 1. Okay, and after that it will print blast off. Okay, any doubts about this repeated steps? So what you will notice is there is something called while, if, and but if you have to iterate over a loop from 1 to 100, then you have to use for each. Okay, you have to use for each. I'll show you for each. Okay, let's say I'm in Python here. I want to iterate over something. So there is something called sequence. What do you call it? Sequence. All right. All right. So, all right. So you can do a range here. So range is a function provided by Python to you where you can generate from starting with 1 and up to up to total number of 100 numbers we are generating starting with 1. Okay. So basically it goes from 1 to 99. Okay, it goes from 1 to 99. Basically, the left hand side is included, right hand side is not included. Okay, so we can also say, what was that? Think, all right. So if you have to iterate iterate over a range of values, you can say things like for I in range this, okay, and print I. So you can see this. So effectively there are two kinds of loops. One are called the definite loops, other are called the indefinite loops. So this for I in range, for is a definite loop, okay? But while is a indefinite loop because while keeps on going. In case you make a mistake in while, it may not stop. It may not stop. Good. Now let's see the word count example. How would you do it in Python? Okay. What you will do is you will start reading the file, open the file, and then read the text file, and then you split the text into words, and then you start a dictionary. This is a dictionary which we are starting here, creating a dictionary. Then we are going over each of the words and then keep on updating the dictionary. Okay? And here, what does it mean? When it says count get this particular word, basically we are saying in case the try to get the count from the dictionary for this particular word. In case it doesn't, then give a zero there. Okay, so what we are trying to do here, we are trying to read a file, and which file, which the user is giving an input to. Okay, and afterwards we are moving ahead, and then we are basically iterating over the list of items here in the dictionary which has accumulated, and afterwards we are basically using a condition like this. So inside for, so here there is something more interesting which you may also like, that this way we can read two values at a time from the dictionary, and then we can iterate over key and value like this. Okay. And what exactly are we saying? We are saying that if big count is none or count is greater than big count is we are trying to find out the maximum count in this dictionary. So basically, we want to find out which word has occurred maximum number of times. All right. So any doubts about this? You want to try this, or you want me to try this? Should I move or should I show you? All right. All right. So let me explain again. It's basically the whole program. You can think of it as a story, and then each statement is a sentence. A paragraph is like a block, and so on. All right. So you should try it out, and we can move on to the next session. All right. Let's start our more detailed one. Dictionary creates, okay. So Arpan's question is it a Python library? So what is dictionary? Dictionary is basically a hash table provided by Python, okay, and it's kind of available to you without importing anything. So you can add elements to the dictionary just like that. You can see that I added I added name equals say Sandeep, and age equals say 35, and you have this. Okay, if you want to delete something, you could say I want to delete this part. Okay, now that particular key has been deleted. Okay, also we can say age in x, and it will give us true or false based on this, right? So it's saying that, so we could easily say if age in this, print yes, the key access. You see that? Yes. So we can write this kind of uh, statement as well. So that's a dictionary. All right. Good. And if we say this is x, right? X dot get. Okay. And we are saying age 1. It will give an error. Okay. But if we say, all right. So it'll return 0 in case it doesn't exist. But it wouldn't make any changes to x. That makes our code simpler. So for a non-existing key, if you want to handle a scenario where if a non-existing key is there, you want to get a particular value, you say x.get that particular key and then 0 or 1. Okay, like this. All right. Next is, all right. So this we have been successful at. So the comparison operators are just like your Java or C or C++, less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to. Okay. And yeah. All right. So you can see that these are the statements. We have already talked about indentation. So 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 after colon, increase the indentation after if or for or while statement. Maintain the indentation to indicate the block to scope of a block, saying that okay, this statement is part of either it's in. I mean, if you put indentation matching the previous line, it will be this current statement will be considered as part of block, or so it's very natural. It forces it forces the user to maintain kind of a clean handwriting, kind of a neat code. Okay, so this is something which is unique about Python, the indentation. Okay, so the general suggestion is that you turn off the tabs and use the spaces instead. And the setting which I use 4 spaces. All right. In case you are in Text Wrangler, you can go to the settings. Okay. In case you are in Text Wrangler, you can go to the settings and auto expand. And probably every editor, whether Edit Plus, every editor has these settings to convert tab into space. All right. So you can see the difference in blocks. All right. Sometimes you can have the blocks inside blocks. Like for example, inside this for, the whole thing is there, and inside this if, this is there. Okay.
All right, so this is nothing big. We all understand this part. So if else part, I think we all understand it. Okay, in case you want to have multi-way, you can try if, and else. All right, so yeah, you can see that. All right, and this is a more bigger multi-way, but if you can see that it is little too clumsy here to type like this. So yeah, there are case statements in Python as well. We will talk about those later. All right. Other important block which we want to know, we want to keep in mind is try and accept. If you remember in every programming language, so a piece of program or a function has few ways to talk back to you. One is return values. By the way of return values, a function gives you the result. You pass the input to this function. You can think of a function like a small machinery. You can think of a function like a small machinery. You pass the data input as argument, and this function returns you the values as the return value. Okay? Now, what if the error occurs inside a function? There could have been a way of returning maybe something like a negative number or something like out of boundary values, but that always is a confusing thing. Okay, that always is a confusing thing. That's where exceptions come into play. Whenever error occurs, the inside code does not return anything. Instead, it basically throws an error so that the caller of this function can catch the exception and take some steps. All right. Okay, so for example, let's take this case here. We have a string hello Bob, and an integer. We are trying to convert this string into an integer, which of course will give an error. And after converting it into integer, what should we be doing with the value? And that's what is mentioned here. Now in this case, since it will throw an exception here, nothing will get executed after this point. Okay? And that's where the try catch comes into the play. Correct? The program stops here. Okay, so whenever you think about the computing, this is probably quite unnecessary for most of you, but it's important to understand that a software gets executed by CPU, Central Processing Unit, which keeps on talking to the main memory and the secondary memories and the input devices and output devices. Okay, all right. Now when you know the syntax like try and accept, you can say I string equals to integer of a string, meaning this string will get converted into a number. And then, in case an exception occurs, then this number will be assigned as -1. And this is a very important role of exception handling. So every time the error occurs here, the control will, rather than jumping back and not executing anything else, the control will go to accept and then the rest of it. All right. Okay, so the raw string equals to, you can see that we are reading a number from the user. We are trying to convert it into a number. Yes, Sekhar's question is after it goes to exception block, then program continues as normal. Yes, that's right. Let me show you this example. Okay, let's try to do this. I will put here. Okay, okay. All right, let me try to say what is it that we are trying to do right now? We are trying to say try and accept.py. Okay, all right. We say 23, nice work. But if we say 4x, it says it's not a number. Now you can see that what has happened is that once we have entered something here, it go something which is here we have entered a string which is not a number. The error will occur here and it will jump into accept, and after in accept we are assigning value to ival as -1, and then the program continues as normal. All right, good. All right, now has anybody written this part, this particular program? It's pretty simple. I think everybody can write this. Okay. So your program should ask number of hours and the rate. Okay. And in case the number of hours are greater than 40, for the remaining hours, the person should be paid 1.5 times the rate. Okay. Anybody wants to try out? Sri's question is there any way to mention specific accept condition? Yes. Just like in Java, we can say accept this particular exception. Okay, except for this particular exception. Or so we can basically write the accept statement along with the type of error which we are trying to catch. All right, good question. So every exception that gets thrown by Python anywhere has got a name. If its data type is, or the name of that exception is matching the one which we are trying to accept or catch in case of try except, then only that exception will get caught and rest will be thrown out. All right. So we can do that with try and accept. Everybody with me? Now moving ahead. Yeah. So does anybody want to do it? Or should we move on? Although it's not a big deal, I believe that you will be able to write. Okay, so nobody wants to try. All right. You should definitely write this program, and then you should rewrite the same program using try and except, so that your program handles non-numeric input values. Okay, so that was our simple operators. We talked about comparison operator, logical operators, and also here, yeah, I think I missed logical operators. All right, here I think we have not talked about logical operators. All right, anyway, let me just show you. So in logical, the logical operators are and, or, and not. So if you go to the console, if you go to the console, you could say x equals to 2, and you could say if x is equals to 3 or x is greater than 2, print yes. Okay, so you can put the conditions like and, or, and not. So that's pretty much with respect to conditional statements. I'm moving a little faster. Okay, I'm assuming that it should be good enough. Stop me if you find any disconnect at any point. All right, feel free to stop me. I am knowingly moving a little faster. Because I do not want to make you bored with the things which you already know. So if you have any questions at any point, feel free to stop me. All right, now there's a very important aspect. Okay, so here Sekhar's question is, how do we read input from the user in Python? Okay, have a look at the session three's program. You could write you could write things like raw input. Okay, enter the number. What does it mean? Okay, what does it mean? It will display this prompt, and then the user will enter the data here, and that data goes into drawstring. Okay, good. So we quickly talked about various kinds of condition operators or logical operators, and we also talked about for loop, while loop, and the if conditions and else conditions. Along with that, we also quickly talked about try and except. Yes? Did I miss a lot? Is everybody with me? Good. Rahul is with me. How is with me? All right. So, okay. Shekhar, Arpan, are you with me? Good. Good. So I hope I'm not jumping really fast. Okay. Because I don't want to make this class as Python class. I just want to keep it as a very quick tutorial. Okay. All right. One of the reasons why I wanted to make it with Python is that first, Python is easy to learn for everyone. Second, the focus of the class remains on Spark instead of the language construct afterwards. Okay? Because if I try to do Java, most of us will get stuck in, you know, the inheritance and everything.
So right now, that's not the focus. All right. So next is stored and reused steps. So when you have something and you want to do it again and again, you would like to convert that particular piece of code into a function. For example, this we draw a circle, and for drawing a circle you need to put dots everywhere, right? So uh, okay, so you would like to create a circle function to which you can give the center and you can give the radius and it will draw the circle. In a way, let's say you have a, so every formula is generally converted into a function. Okay, anything which can be reused again and again in various kind of context is converted into a function. Okay, so for example, we are defining a function called thing, and it has got these two statements. So every time we call thing, it'll print hello and fun. Okay, so there are two kinds of functions. One is built-in, and the functions which we define ourselves. Okay, so we treat the built-in functions as new. We avoid them as the variable names. Okay, okay, because although you can define them as a variable name, but they'll be very confusing. In Python, a function is some reusable code that takes arguments as input and does some computation and then returns a result. We define a function using a def reserved keyword. We call or invoke the function by using the function name and the parenthesis and the argument. All right. So there are few things which I like to demonstrate to you about the function which you may not have used in any other language. So we can define a function like this. This is my func. This is my func, and it's taking two argument x and y, and we are putting a colon and then we are putting indentation, and here we are saying y comma x. So it's returning two values. That's something I wanted to demonstrate to you. And so if I'm saying 2 comma 3, it'll return me 3 comma 2. Now we can assign these two values that are being returned by my func to these new variables. Now you can see a is 3, b is 2. Okay, did it make sense to you? So functions take argument and functions can function return value, and this value could be something called a tuple. A tuple is like an array but immutable, meaning you cannot change a tuple. Tuples are defined in Python using round brackets instead of the square brackets. Yes, Arpan's question is it similar to pig tuple? Kind of, yes. If you have read about something called tuple algebra, in case of the relational databases, it's the same philosophy. It's the same philosophy. All right. All right. One more important thing which I want to show you, that is something you may not have seen. Uh, that is, let's say my apply func. Okay. Let's say there is an array and there is some function, and this program, all it does is executes for I in array, execute this function on I. So this is something you may not have seen earlier. What is going on here? So we are basically going over the elements of array, and every element of array is being passed to f, and f is being executed. Okay, that means that that particular function is being applied on each element of an array. All right, now it doesn't do much because it's not returning anything. Okay, let's try to do something. Let's try to create an array called out. Okay, and then we say value in array out dot I think it's append, out dot append function of value. Okay, let's try to say this is our array and there here is my function. So I'm sorry, my apply func. All right, it says that the okay, so it says that the int object is not iterable. Okay. So let's say we define another function called square. Okay, and this square, what does it do? It basically returns x into x. Okay, so square of 2 is 4, square of 20 is 400, correct? Now if you say here square, all right, again we missed something. Again we missed something important, which is this. Alright, that is the only pain point of. Alright, let me just say out equals this array, and for value in array, and then we are saying out dot append function. We are calling the function. This is the most important part which I wanted to demonstrate to you. Okay, okay, so now what I want to show you is that this is a function which we have defined. We have defined two functions. One is called sq. What it does is it squares any value you give it. The other function we defined is myApplyFunc. What it does is you give an array as argument to myApplyFunc, and then we are also the myApplyFunc is also taking another argument which is a function, and what it does is it iterates over each value and then apply this square function on each value and append to the output. Okay, and then it returns the output. Now you can see my apply func, and I'm saying this is my input array and I'm passing square. All right, what happened to this guy? All right, so we can simply say this. All right, I think this will do now. Now you can see that this function, myApply function, executed square against each value. All right, you will understand why I'm talking about this now, because if you think about Spark, these are the very important aspect of Spark. Yes, you are right. House, Reese, and yeah. Okay. So, Arpan, are you okay, or should I explain again? So we basically defined two functions. Okay, we defined two functions. One is this, other is this. Okay, we defined two functions, and the way we are calling them is by using this and saying 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4, and then we are saying sq. So what I wanted to show you is you can pass a function as an argument to the function. Is it clear to everyone now? If you have been to C, this is equivalent to having uh, this is equivalent to having the pointer to the function as argument. All right. So what is so important about this part? This part is basically about applying a function over each value of an array, which is basically an equivalent of map. This is the classic definition of a map. Now I'll show you. So there is this map, it's a built-in function. Okay? It takes the function as argument, and then it also takes an array as argument. You can see that? It's exactly doing what we have just described. So all I wanted to describe to you is, other than any value, we could also pass the function as the argument. All right. So a max function is basically taking the string and returning the biggest character out of it. Right. All right. The other important thing to know about Python is the floating point conversions. Okay. And the string conversions. So that is very important for you. So you can basically write int and then it will convert it into integer. All right. You can define your own functions. We have already talked about it. And you can call it. All right. I think, are good to go with this. All right. If you have any doubts at any point of time, just let me know. So there are multiple parameter arguments. Then there could be multiple return value if you put them in the round brackets. Okay. We have already demonstrated you this part. There is a way to create variable arguments by putting asterisk, meaning there is no limit of number of arguments. Then you could also define something called keyworded argument. In case you want to pass something like a dictionary of various keys and values, then you can use keyworded argument. Alright, there are some functions who do not return any value. They are called void functions, in which you just don't have to return any value. Alright, so you could pass a function as an argument as we showed you just now. Okay, so there are functions such as map and iterate, map and reduce and filter, which can basically apply a function everywhere. So similarly, there is a filter function. Filter function takes first argument as a function which returns true or false. In case it returns true for a value, then that value is kept in the output. If you see here, there is a function called isEven, and this isEven takes an argument. All right, it takes an argument and it returns true or false if based on whether it's divisible by 2 or not. Because if something is divisible by 2, then when you divide it by 2, the remainder will be equal to 0, right? And hence this condition will return true. Okay, so this filter is also inbuilt function. What it does is it takes your function, apply on each element of this array. And in case this isEven function returns true, then only those values will be kept in the output. You can see that only 2 and 4 have been returned by this function. Are you okay? Similarly, there is an inbuilt function called map, which we just demonstrated you, which can apply a function again and again on each value of an array. Okay. So there's another function called reduce. These are map, reduce, filter. These are the inbuilt functions of Python, and they basically make it possible to do a lot of magical things inside it. For example, map function can easily become the threaded one, as in it could run parallelly on multiple threads without user having to worry about managing the threads. Okay, so map, filter, reduce, all of these functions could be made parallel, and that's exactly what Spark did. They made these kind of functions as parallel, because without you, because user doesn't care while applying the map function. User doesn't care whether map function got applied on first value first or second value first. Okay, all it wants is the output, and that's what is the role of these three functions. So that's a very important aspect of this functional programming. Okay, next is reduce. Reduce takes two things as argument. First is a function. This function is applied on the values of this array again and again unless the whole array crumbles into a single value. Okay, since this function mysum or whatever function you provide to reduce, this function should convert two values into one. Okay, it should convert two values into one, and then it will apply again and again on the values until the whole array turns into 1. So only those functions are good for reduce functions which are cumulative, commutative, and associative. What does it mean? It means whether you apply this function first on AB or first on AC and then on BC, it does not make any difference. The output should be same. For example, out of 1 plus 2 plus 3, whether you sum up 1 or 2 first and then sum it up with 3, or you sum up 2 and 3 first and then sum it up with 1, okay, the output will be the same. But the same is not true in case of a function called average. Alright? So you can see that in case of reduce, everywhere, let's say, think about sum. We are summing up two values. So as part of reduce, first two values will be combined and then the other two values, and they will be combined together and it will be like this. Okay. Now question to all of you is, out of these four kind of functions, which function do you think is okay for reduce function? Again, since reduce function is going to be applied again and again to convert the whole array into a single value, they should be cumulative and associative, meaning whether the function is applied on first two values first, or it's applied on the second two values, and so on. The order should not matter. The output should be same. For example, here, in case of summation, whether you sum up these two or these two or these two, it's the same thing. So question to you is, which of the following functions are okay for reduce? Which of the following functions are okay for reduce? Average, min, max. How says 1, 3 and 4? Are you sure how? Average is okay for reduce? Try to run through an example and you will get the answer. Average of an average is not correct. Arpan says min max looks fine, and brilliant. I think Arpan has got it right. I'm not going to say it louder now. Shikhar says min max looks okay. Average is not okay for reduce. And okay, so last one is something I don't want to clear the mystery. Shikhar has also got it right. Anybody else? Rahul says 2 and 3. That's correct. What about first and fourth? So 2 and 3 are obviously correct. Now question is about first and fourth. Okay. Do you want to try it out if you don't believe me? Alright, let me show you. Alright. So let me define a function which takes two values and it returns, let's say, average. Let's say it returns x plus y divided by 2.0. Okay, f4 comma 5. Okay, you can see that. You can see that. Now, if you say reduce and you have an array and you, I think, alright. It should have been 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4 and divided by 4.0. It could have been 2.25, right? So average is definitely not a suitable reduce function. Now, okay, what are your opinions about the fourth one? I've got only three people answering this question. This last one, the last one is something which I want to understand from you. So what it does is it squares the values. Okay, so if you say my func import math, all right. So all it does is, so I think this is correct. 3.16. Is it correct? Yeah. Arpan says fourth is not okay. Let's try it out. Okay. Let's try it out with three values first. Okay. Reduce my funct. Okay. So out of 1 plus 2 plus 3, if you square them together, let's say 1 plus 1 plus 2, 1 plus 1 plus 2 into 2 plus 3 into 3. And we say SQRT. Okay, we are lucky in this case. Do you think we are lucky or this function is good? This function is correct. So it is a suitable candidate for the reduce. Reason being that no matter how you do it, the result is going to be same. Okay, the result is going to be same. I can prove it to you by breaking it down. Sounds good to you? So answer is that the last one is good function to go ahead with. Okay. All right. Now question to all of you is, there are three functions we have talked about: filter, map, and reduce. So filter, they all take functions as arguments. So filter takes a function which classifies, which says that let this particular value go and let this particular value not go. Okay, what is so special about these three functions? These three functions are giving us freedom from the nitty-gritties of iteration. This iteration is something which is very important thing when we talk about computing. In case you are iterating over the values using a for loop, then that program cannot be made distributable without rewriting the code. While if you use MapReduce, you can simply use the same paradigm, and map internally can iterate over the values whether in multiple thread, multiple machines, or multiple nodes. Whatever it wants, it can do. Okay? All you need is that given this array, given this function, please do this either filter or reduce or map. All right. So question to all of you is, can you match these two columns? Filter, map, and reduce. So which one gives the output as single value? Is it filter, map, or reduce? And which one gives output as many values as were in the input? And which one gives values less than or equal to the input? Good, Valentin and Arpan. Okay, good, Sekhar. Good, good. How? That's very nice. Good, Srish. Brilliant, brilliant. So everybody got it? Yes, you are right. It'll be like this. All right. All right. So who will give me the answer to this question? How are map, reduce, and filter distributable paradigms? Why it's important to know about map, reduce, and filter? Anybody? Yes, that's right. It can work. These functions can work in parallel. Brilliant. Okay. So all can work on the range of data. All can do a divide and conquer, and logic can travel. So if you see, there is a paradigm shift which these three functions brought in. These functions said that okay, it's fine, you give us the data as argument, but give us the function as well. Now, this program says that you give me the function, I'll apply that function on the data. Instead of saying that here is my function, give me some data. No, it says that what basically, instead of you executing that function, you let the framework execute your functions. That means the logic can travel. All right. There's something called lambda function. Sometimes you don't want to give a name to a function. Let's say you're passing a function to map and you don't want to define the function. It's a disposable function. In those cases, you can use lambda function definition. We will be using lambda function couple of times. Okay. So you can see we have just defined g as lambda. Or I'll show you. Let's say what you want to do is you want to quickly cube the values of an array. So you can see that we just defined the function like this, like this. We said lambda x is the argument, and this is the return value. Good. So that was the lambda function. Okay, so you can pass lambda function everywhere. Okay, so that was our discussion on functions. Loops and iteration we have covered. All right, so I'll be going a little more faster, and okay, till then let's take a break for 10 minutes. Back by 10:13 p.m. IST. It'll be now 14.
All right, so let's start. Is everybody back? All right. So we were talking about the this we have already talked about. All right. Good. So everybody is clear about the functions. So we can start with the again revisiting the loops. All right. I think this is good enough. So you have while loop, okay, in which your while followed by a condition, colon, and then a block. So until this condition is true, it will keep on going. Now it can go into infinite loop in case you forgot to change the value of n. So every time it will keep on going. All right. Okay. And what does this loop do? Anybody? Correct. Yes, Valentin. Okay. Good. So you can break out of the loop by using a keyword called break. Okay. You can say things like, and also note that true and false, where the T is capital and in false, F is capital, those are the keywords signifying true and false. Okay. Those are the Boolean keywords that signify true and false. All right. So you can make your own command prompt like this. While true, line equals to raw input, as in it will show this kind of a prompt. And if line equals to done, you break, otherwise you print the line and then you're done. Okay. So you can create a command prompt like this using a loop, your own command prompt. All right. Now, if you break, it will break to the immediately above loop. If it has been inside another loop, it won't break both the loops. It will only break this particular loop. All right. And you can also do a continue. Continue means you again go back to the beginning and then execute this. Okay. So there are some the infinite loop and definite loop. Definite loops are something where we go over a finite set of elements and we execute them. The definite loops example is for I in an array. This cannot go into an infinite loop. All right. Okay, this is another sample definite loop. All right. So this part is a sequence of elements. It's generally an array or iterable, and this is a value. All right. And I think this is quite clear to everyone. All right. So if you have to compute the largest element in an array, what will you do? Okay.
Here in this example, it's basically we are iterating over the values. First 9, then 41, then 12, then 9, 74, then this. Okay. So in if we are computing the largest number, so we keep a track of largest number like this. So we start with largest so far as -1, and then compare largest with this one, and then update it. And we keep on updating as soon as we encounter the bigger number. Okay? So that's a way of finding largest value. Alright? To find an average in a loop, you cannot have a running average. Instead, you can keep sum and count and then divide sum and count. Filtering in a loop you can do, of course, and also you can do the boolean find. All right, you can find the smallest value by iterating over the values. All right. So also, as I was telling you, that is and is not operators are very useful. Okay, is operators can be used in the logical expressions, and it means that it implies that is the same as. Okay. All right. So that was a quick overview of. All right. So here is a quick assignment to all of you based on what we have discussed so far. Question to all of you is, given the stock, what do you call, given the stock prices o- of a year, of all 365 days of an year, find out what maximum money would you have made by buying and selling only once. Okay, that's an assignment. Do you get this question, everybody? Arpan's question is, I'll talk about your question in a minute. Let me describe this. So let's say you're given a value like on the first date it was 1, then 2, then again 1, then it became 10, and then it became 30, and then again became 1, and then it became 50, and then it became something like this. So what is the maximum profit you could make by buying exactly once and selling exactly once? But you have to buy first in order to sell something. Anybody? Looking at these numbers, what is the maximum profit you could have bought? So these are the prices of the stocks in, like, on the first day of the year it was this, second day it was 2, third day it was 1, fourth day it was 10th, and fifth day it was 30, sixth day it was 1, and so on. So these were the stock prices. So if you had to buy once and sell once, what is the maximum possible money you could make out of this? Sri says 1 and 50. That's correct, meaning the maximum money you could have made is 49, right?
Yes. So Sri says buy either here at 1 or here, either way. And sell at 50. Good. Very good, Sri. Anybody else? Now, if you have to write this program, how would you write it? Okay. So try to write a program to do this. Do this efficiently. Okay. One way is to do it. One way is to find out all possible combinations and then find out the maximum value out of it. One is that. Other is using the same maximum so far kind of a philosophy, and that is very simple and straightforward. Yes, Arpan, that's right. The n square solution is very obvious, but there are other alternatives. Just think over it, but first try to implement that n square n solution, and then by the end of it, you will get the answer. Okay? So, everybody clear about this question? Okay, all right. So, that's an assignment for all of you. Try this assignment. This is going to be fairly interesting exercise, and whatever we have learned in language construct, it is there. Now, going back to a question asked by Arpan, is what is none? None means nothing. Okay, something which has not, which is null, which does not have any value. Okay, okay, so you can see there. No, not like this. It'll be like x equals to none. We can define none as as a value, and we can compare that x is none or not. Yes, it's like null. All right, great. So I'm moving really blazingly fast. So stop me at any point of time where you want to ask more doubts. All right. Just like any language, the array of characters is called a string. Okay. As you can see, hello and there is a string. Okay. So we can concatenate two strings by putting a plus sign. We can increase, but we cannot increase the string value by adding one to it. Also, please note that unlike most of the languages where the casting to number or casting to string happens very straightforward, implicitly. For example, in case of Java, if you try to concatenate one string with a number, Java does not mind. It basically convert the number into the string and then concatenates. But in case of Python, it gives an error. Okay? It is to avoid the mistakes. Instead, you cast explicitly by putting integer in front of it. Okay?
So a string is an array of characters, and this array is indexed. The index of array, the first element is called zeroth. Okay, so the way numbering of an array is done, that the first element of array is marked at 0, and so on. Okay. Okay, now sometimes if you make a mistake in accessing a character and is beyond the beginning of the line, then it throws an error. Okay, strings have length. Strings have length. You can iterate over strings as array of strings as well as string itself. If you iterate over a string, it gives you character by character access to the whole array. Okay. So for example, here if you go letter by letter, you can simply say for letter in the fruit, and you can print it so that you'll get B, A, N, A, N, A in each character in a separate line. Okay. All right. The other important aspect of a string is you can quickly slice the string. You can quickly say, give me characters from 0 to 4. So substring is very straightforward. You can simply, in the square brackets, you could simply say colon A colon B, as in 0 colon 4 means give me 4 characters starting at 0th index. Okay? Sorry, start at 0th index, go up to below the 4th index. Okay. Similarly, if you say as 6 to 7, meaning start at 6 but stop before 7. All right. Now sometimes you want everything from beginning till a point, that you can simply say miss out the left part, say colon 2 in this case. Or sometimes you want to say, for example, you want to, after from the beginning you want to go till end, for example from here till the end, then you say s8 colon. All right, so this is a very simple way of slicing a string and getting it, and so the same is true with any array. Okay, you can do the same things with any array. All right, similarly the way we can do an operation on array or a dictionary by using the in keyword, in similar way you can look up quickly inside a string, you can look up a character inside a string. All right, so string comparisons are very straightforward. You can use greater than, less than, equal to. Okay, and less than, greater than is based on their lexical ordering. All right, so in case of string library, you can convert anything into a lowercase by using string dot lower or string dot upper. All right. Another important part you need to know is if you want to find out the data type of anything, you can simply say type inside the brackets, you can pass any object and it will give you the data type of that particular object. Or and similarly, this very useful function called dir. What dir does is it gives you the list of all the functions inside an object. Okay, for example, here stuff is a string. So when you say dir stuff, all the functions which are part of stuff are listed here. So what is a string? A string is more like an object of a class called string. Okay, and every object has got many functions. Okay, so you can do lots of functions in it. As well, there is something called help. You can use help on stuff and it'll give you the correct result. The string library provides you almost all kinds of functions that are required on the string. Starting with capitalize. Capitalize is converting the first word into, if it's a sentence, then each word's first letter will get converted into uppercase and rest will be converted into lower cases. Okay. Then you have ends with finds out whether a particular string is ending with something or not. Okay, you can search inside the the string by using the command, and you can also convert it to uppercase. And there are stripping, left. So you should go through the full list of functions of a string, and you will get a lot of interesting functions too. All right. Okay, you can parse and extract the data from a string by using the find command and also by using the regular expression. All right. So that was a very, very quick overview of strings. So you can read functions, you can read files through Python as well. And it's pretty straightforward. All right. So it's very straightforward to read files. Okay. So as we discussed earlier also, the CPU can read from the secondary memory or from the input output devices. Okay. And a text file can be thought of as a sequence of lines like this. So before you can read any data from a file, you have to use the function called open function, which can read any file, and then you can iterate over the lines. All right. So let's try to do a few things. Okay. So you could say, let's say f equals to open big.txt. Okay, let's try to see if it can open. Okay, for line in f, okay, we could say print length of line. Okay,
Now you can see that it's counting the length of the file lines. Good. It's able to count the line lengths quickly. Syntax was very straightforward. All we did was we opened the files and we went through line by line by using the for. Okay, so this handle is iterable. Okay, so handle is responsible to keep track of the file state, where are we in the file, and so on. And if the file is missing, it gives an error. Also, please note that the new line character is same as any other language. So new line character means a new line, as in here. Okay. Okay. So at the end of every line in a text file, it generally /n. If you have to count lines of a file, you can use a similar syntax, what we just did. Okay. Now, in case you want to read the whole file into the memory, if you are dealing with a very small file, you could basically read the whole file like this. All right. And then do whatever you want to do. But avoid such kind of operations where you have to read whole file into the memory. Any questions at this point? All right. When you read a line from a file, line contains the new line. So you will have to strip them by using our strip command. All right. So you can read the file name itself from the user interface as we have demonstrated earlier. All right. So this was a very quick, simple file. I mean, quick, simple overview of reading the files. Okay. How to open? Arpan's question is how to open file for reading and writing. Okay. So you can simply say things like f equals to open, okay, my file, and then you could say here write like this. Okay. Okay. Now you can see, has it created my file? Yes, it has created my file and has put X in it. So we have opened this file in an append mode. All right, which means that we can keep on adding more things after this file. All right, any questions at this point?
Shikhar's question is, do we have any PDF on our site so that we can refer? Yes, we do. Okay, we do have here. I think it is there. Yeah, you can take a look at it. We will add more here. We'll add more content here very soon. Okay, so no worries. All right, so everybody with me? The next important concept in Python is lists. Okay, lists are nothing but it's a collection that allows many things into a single variable or many values into a single container. So collection is nice because we can carry all many kind of values around in one single package. Also, we can iterate over these list of values very easily. Okay, that's one of the very important aspect of using a list. Okay, there are two kinds of things. One is singular, other is plural. So here x equals to 2 is kind of a singular and is not a collection, while plural date plural data type is generally a collection. So for example here, this one is a plural data type. Okay, we have been using arrays since the beginning because that's a part of it. All right, you could look inside the list easily by exactly the way we were accessing the strings variables. In the similar way, you could access each element of a list. So array is also a list or a collection. Okay, a string is also a list of characters. Also, lists are mutable in the sense that you could modify any value at any point of time by assigning new things to a particular variable. In case, okay, so the strings are immutable in the sense that we cannot modify a string the way we are trying to modify. Okay, while we could modify Loto here by changing a particular value. Alright, the length function is also provided on every kind of list. So we could always check the length of a list by saying len. You could use the range function. Okay, you could say things like range and length. 0, 1, comma 2. Alright, alright, this is important here. So you could concatenate two arrays like this. You could simply concatenate 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, and so on. Okay. Also, exactly the way we were slicing the strings, we can slice the list. And this is very convenient when we are dealing with the list. You could simply say, give me all the characters, all the values from this list, starting from the first element till before the 3. So 1 colon 3 means from the index first till 3, but not including 3. That means 9, 41, and 12. Sorry, 41 and 12. Because 9 is on 0th index and 41 is on the first index. Alright? So you could basically quickly slice the list. List also provides many methods, including extend, remove, pop, and reverse and sort. So these are very useful methods. For example, the push and pop or append and pop. If you append and pop, it becomes a queue. Okay, it becomes a stack. Okay, remove and append becomes a queue. So you can use list as a stack as well as a queue as well as a normal list. All right. Sometimes you want to build the list from the scratch, that you can do easily. Okay. And sometimes you just want to check if there is something in the list by saying exactly the way we did earlier over the dictionary. All right. You could order the list. Lists are immutable. So if you say friends.sort, it is going to order the values and modify the list. All right. On lists, there are many common functions which are already provided to you, such as length, max, min, and sum. Okay, if any of the value inside sum contains non-numeric value, it will give an error. All right. So strings and lists are a close friend, as in strings is immutable list of characters. You can see here, all we are doing is taking the sentence, we are splitting it by space. If you do not specify any character on which to split a string, it splits it based on the tab or and the space. And once that is done, the output is returned as an array of words over which we can iterate. All right. So even if there are more than one space, it will split it correctly. So say, see, for example, here there is lot of space. There's a lot of space here, but still it's only 4 elements. A lot of spaces. You can see that. That will be That's how it splits it. All right. So basically, you can go through a list of elements very quickly. That's why a list is a very important da- data structure. Okay. Sometimes you want to split multiple times. All right. So go through the list of elements and you will be able to figure it out. All right. Any questions on this? I know I'm running really fast because my plan is to cover most of Python as quickly as possible, right? So the best way I'm thinking is that I'm waiting for your questions. If you have any doubts, just ask me. Any questions at this point? No questions? Or all right, looks like everybody has slept off. Okay, Sekhar is awake. All right, I think we need to make it a little more interesting. I understand that it's becoming more monotonous. All right, this is something which I do not like. So let's try to make it more interesting. So best way is you should ask many questions. All right, so that was list, and dictionaries is pretty straightforward, very straightforward. Yes. So Srish's question is how to change the character in a string. Okay. How to change a character in this string. I tried a list assignment. It did not work. Let's try to do that. Let's try to do that. Okay. So imagine that this is my name. Okay. If we access it like this, it gives us correctly. Okay. But it gives an error, right? So what we can do is we could say 1 and this, and then we could say x plus this. Okay, this is the kind of basically we cannot modify a string. But if you have a list of say values, then you can modify that. Let's say a is this now, and we want to say this. Now you can see that the first value has been overwritten by the value which we have assigned just now. Okay, so hope that's clear, Sirish. Great. All right. So we talked about lists, and now we're talking about dictionaries. Dictionaries are very important data structure. While list is a list of values, it's an item. It's a list of items. The only way is to find out the items is iterate over the list. If you know the item's name, you could simply go to that particular item. And that's what dictionary allows. What is a dictionary in the real life? It is basically it basically contains the meanings of various words. And the dictionary is ordered by the word. Okay? By each word the dictionary is ordered. I'm talking about the real life dictionary, the dictionary ordered by the words. Therefore, you can quickly search for any word in the dictionary. Okay. So, in a similar spirit, the dictionary in case of Python is basically something in which you can quickly find a word. Okay, something in which you can quickly find a word. The way by using the index, you can quickly find an element of an array. In the same way, by using the key, we can quickly find a value in dictionary. Okay, so so dictionaries allow us a lot of handy way of storing data, to do a lot of quick data manipulation. Okay, so instead of the way in arrays we keep on looking up the value based on the index, here we can look up the values based on the keys. That is the difference between the list and a dictionary. All right. Okay, so we have gone through the get methods of a dictionary. We have also gone through all of these things quickly, and we did the counting. Okay, you can iterate over the keys of a dictionary very quickly. Okay, so you can say my dictionary dot keys and it will give you the full list. All right, so that is a dictionary. So another aspect we have already touched upon is the tuple. Using tuples, you could basically tuples is a good way of giving you a read-only array. Okay, tuples look like an array, but they are read-only. The main difference between tuple and an array is defined with a square bracket, while tuple is defined by round brackets. Okay, so for example, x equals to this, and we can say print x2 and it will give us the particular string. And y equals to this, and we could say print y and we get this. No, we cannot add or append elements to a tuple. But we can add two tuples to form a new tuple. Let me show you that. Okay, let me show you that. Okay, so we can define a tuple something like this. Okay, you can see that. In tuple as well as array, the data type might differ. So we can add more elements to a tuple. Sorry. So x equals to 1 comma 2 and y equals to x plus x plus 1 comma 3. So you can see that we have concatenated two tuples. In case you want to concatenate one single value, then you put a comma and put a blank line. You can see that? But if you try to do something of this sort, it will give an error. Okay, because it will think that you're concatenating tuple with a singular value. Okay, although we can access each element, but we cannot change. Make sense to you? All right. Now, why would I unnecessarily want to have a read-only array? When we have read-write kind of arrays called list, why would I like to have a read-only array? Can somebody help me understand that? Why would I? The only benefit there seems to be with the tuple is that it is read-only. Okay, so there are many benefits of something being read-only. First is that if something is read-only, we can fearlessly pass it as arguments to a function. Okay, so that that function cannot modify the tuple which we passed. Similarly, a function can return a tuple without fearing that somebody will change the tuple. Okay, so you cannot sort, append, or reverse a tuple while you can do that on a list. Okay, you can convert a list into tuple and tuple into list. Also, you can see that tuple does not have many functions other than count and index, while list has so many functions. The other advantage of tuple is that it is more efficient than the list. Okay, so you can assign multiple values of a tuple to multiple values of another tuple. For example, x comma y equals to 4 comma Fred. Y will become Fred and x will become 4. Alright? Alright? So dictionaries were mutable, list was mutable, tuples are not mutable, meaning tuples cannot be altered. Comparison operators work well with tuples in the sense that it will keep on comparing the two values until there is a disagreement or one of the tuples length is lesser. For example, 012 is lesser than 512, while 01 and 2 million is still less than 0, 3 and 4. Why? Because 1 is lesser than 3. So the first element of tuple is the most significant one while comparing a tuple with another tuple. All right? So you can sort the list of tuple. You can basically take take a dictionary, convert it into tuples and then sort. Convert it into list and then sort. So you can see when we say d dot items, it returns a list of tuples and each tuple is key and value. Alright. The other command which is quite useful is sorted. You can use sorted command to quickly sort any collection. Alright. Sometimes you may want to sort based on some other criteria. Okay. In those cases, you can create a fresh list and there you can append the values and then you can sort that one. All right. This sorts the data in a reverse manner. Okay. So the for loop can also be written in this manner. Here it says that for k comma v in this list, return v comma k. This is what it says. All right. So that was a quick overview of tuple. All right. Is my voice audible to everyone? All right. Any questions on tuple, list, and dictionaries? We talked about a lot of things today. I know it's overwhelming, but you can just go through these topics. These topics are very straightforward. These topics are very straightforward, and you can learn these very quickly. Yes, sure. I'll try my best to hand over you all the slides. I'll upload all of these into the session. Yes. I'll make sure that tomorrow they get uploaded. All right? Any questions other than that? Okay. So how many of you have gone through our regular expression session? Anybody? Looks like nobody has gone through it. Does it show you as a separate regular expression session? Okay, okay. All right, you must go through the regular expression session of ours, because that session is quite important, because regular expressions are the backbone of data churning. Okay, so that session is hardly 20 minutes. I would say that you go through regular expressions. All right, regular expression is like clever wildcard and a more generalization of wildcard. And what is wildcard? In DOS, you must have done dir star dot star or dir star dot exe. So that was very rudimentary way of filtering data or matching data to a certain pattern. All right. So you can quickly do the pattern matching using regular expression. All you need to do is import RE, that is the first thing you can do, and then open a file and then re.search a particular pattern inside the line. Yes, we can take this session at later point of time. Okay, if you want, you would not need to actually take this session from me. You'll be able to figure it out by yourself, and it'll be pretty straightforward. Okay, so for example, I'll just show you one quick match. So we can say import regular expression. Okay, and then we could say search dot star Sandeep. Dot star means anything, and here we go. So it says match. Now it says nothing. It says that nothing has been found. All right. So you can use that technique to search for a particular pattern in the text. All right. So we can discuss this part maybe next over the next weekend. All right. I'm just wondering what else will be important. Okay, I think one is this web services, and what about network diagrams? What about the network programs? Okay. All right. So you have, in case of networked programs, as in these client and server architectures, the socket programming and whatnot, you can use Python very well to do a lot of operations. Okay. So your client could be talking to the server by various means. If it's talking through the browser, then the server has to give out the HTML, JavaScript, Ajax, and CSS. Okay, so you can go through. I mean, basically, it provides you a way of opening a port, listening to a port, and responding to the socket. All right. So every program listens. So those programs which are running in the background, for example, Hadoop is running Hadoop is running data node and and the name node. So what exactly is data node and what exactly is name node? Data node is a process as well as name node is a process. And how do they talk to the world? They talk to the world using ports. They listen on their distinct ports. Okay. For example, the SSH uses 2020, 22. Okay. While HTTP uses 80. So when you type somebody's website www.nobigdata.com, you are saying that connect to nobigdata.com at 80 port. Okay. That's what it means by the port. All right. So you can explicitly, while connecting via Python, you can explicitly say my socket.connect and the URL. All right. Not required. All right. So using Python, you can get the data from the server. All right. So you can see that the user has requested the browser, and the browser is talking to the web server to get the HTML and the other information. All right. I think that's pretty much. Networking, I don't think you require that much, but you can go through this. It's not a very difficult thing. Okay. The other important aspect to know is when you are crawling the web, when you're downloading HTML, CSS, and everything, the HTML may not be formed very well. Okay. In those cases, you use beautiful soup kind of libraries. All right. So using beautiful soup, you can actually clean up a lot of things. All right. Any questions at this point? So to download any website, you have to use URL lib, and you can open the URL, read all of the data as HTML, and then you start downloading. You start converting that HTML into a parsable format. All right. So these are very useful libraries. You can simply say import URL lib. Okay. You can simply go to the console and you can say import URL lib. Okay, afterwards you can download anything you want to do. Okay, So go through URL lib and beautiful soup. These are the two things which you must go through. All right. Yes. All right. So just go through the URL lib and beautiful soup. That is generally good enough for crawling. All right. So I think that's pretty much with respect to Python. We can continue our discussion on Spark from next session onwards. All right. Rest of the things are not really required. Yes, beautiful soup is an external library. You will have to install it using pip. Okay. Using pip, you can install Python. You can install any Python module using pip. Okay. Also, please note that the Python is a object-oriented programming language, but we will not be using too much of object-orientedness. Okay. Okay. Yes. Question from Arpan is how to use pip to install. Okay. So, but in our case, pip, I'm not sure if this will work here. So import beautiful soup. Does it work? No. All right. Let's try to do. Where is the. All right. I'm just trying to see where is the beautiful soup, and I could give a more relevant example to you. No, I'm just trying to see what. Yeah, here it is on the 12th session. So for web scraping, you can simply use this, and sometimes you can. All right. So first of all, if you are installing any module on your machine, you'll have to install pip. To install pip, you can go to their website. They'll give you a binary which you can execute, or they'll give you a shell command using which you can execute. And then, okay, then you can install beautiful soup as well. Okay, import this. It says it's not there. So we could say pip install. Oh, it's not there. Pip command is not found. Okay. So you can go to the Beautiful Soups website. They'll give you a version compatible with the OS, and then you can install pip first, and then you can install Beautiful Soup. All right. So that's pretty much. I think you're all ready to go. Okay. We will talk about rest of the things during our usual sessions. All right. All right. So that was a very crash course on Python and little fast paced. Okay.
See you next Saturday, India time. I think it'll be Saturday on US time as well. All right. Thank you, Valentine. Thank you, Arpan. Thank you, Sheesh. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, How. Thank you, Valentine. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, Sheesh. Thank you, Shekhar. Thank you, Arpan again. Bye bye. Yes. All right. Thank you, How. Happy New Year to all of you. And I wish you a very great year ahead. All right. Bye bye. Have a great day. Have a great week ahead. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, How. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day ahead.